With the market recently having the big sell-off and us just chopping, we are now being given some great opportunities in this space. Like, for an example, Ondo, back down to 70 some cents, and this is a very significant level to buy Ondo at, because if we're looking at the all-time chart, our yearly lows in 2025 were right around 62.5 cents. Prior to that, going all the way back here to 2024, it was about roughly 54 cents. So Ondo right now is right around almost a sweet spot to be buying Ondo for the long-term future. And just taking a quick look at the overall price chart, I do have this blue zone down here around roughly 58 to about 66.5 cents. I really do think that this is going to be the best area to be buying Ondo and accumulating for the long term. We did just lose major support, which is of course our macro support on the 3-day structure, which was right around 73 cents. And it seems as though Ondo is getting into a very good buy opportunity zone. Now, a lot of people might ask, well, Nick, aren't you worried about us entering a bear market or something like that? I don't believe so. I don't really think that we are topped out yet around crypto. And I think that a lot of these altcoins, like, for an example, Ondo, are extremely oversold anyways, especially when you are looking at RSI. And you could even see here on the 3-day, we are already lower than our low back here in June in terms of RSI, and also going all the way back to about roughly March and April of this year, where the market was extremely oversold. You know, RSI is dipping right down to those lows. So currently speaking, RSI on a lot of these altcoin charts are telling us, hey, they're oversold. Now looking at like lower time frame structure, like the daily, for example, I mean, this is the lowest point that we just hit on this chart since going all the way back here to August of 2024. So to really answer the question of, hey, am I scared of a bear market, or am I scared of these altcoins being topped out completely for the cycle? No, I'm not. In fact, I really think that a lot of people are just completely missing the big point in front of us, which is the fact that most of this recent sell-off was all really kind of accelerated by liquidations, and the things that really kind of led to this sell-off also are just really noise around the trade war, you know, tariff discussions, things like that. So, you know, again, I'm not too concerned at all when it comes to some of these altcoins selling off, and I'm actually treating this as a very good opportunity to be buying altcoins. Now, like I said, Ondo is one of those blue chips in this space. I've always said it, and I really, you know, the thing about Ondo to me is it really reminds me back to some of the reasons why I invested into some of these crypto projects that I still hold today in the first place. XRP, XLM, HBAR. You know, these projects, the reason why I invested into them is because the tech behind it and the moves that were being made around these ecosystems. Ondo is exactly the same way. When it comes to Ondo, the reason why I think that Ondo is a blue chip, the reason why I think that Ondo is going to be a very expensive project is because of all of the moves that Ondo is making. On top of that, I feel like we already have proof of just how big Ondo is. Here we have the on-chain era has arrived. Since the start of 2023, Ondo's tokenized products have attracted 1.8 billion in assets under management across nearly 30,000 holders. Tokenizing capital markets represents a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, and Ondo is building the infrastructure to capture it. Now, when we are looking at RWA.XYZ, $1.8 billion is tied back to Ondo, a new all-time high in terms of total value. Holders nearing almost 30K, up about 53% in the last 30 days. And when it comes to Ondo, it's crazy to see all of the different assets tied back to Ondo. Some of the biggest ones obviously being stocks, with over $300+ million tied back to stocks. This is up 25% in the last 30 days. Beyond that, you have stablecoins and then US treasuries. But, you know, Ondo is in a very, very good spot right now to really reap the reward of being early around the big tokenization boom. We already know that tokenization has been growing over the last couple weeks. $34 billion now on chain in terms of all networks, in terms of public networks, over $21+ billion and just growing. We love to see this. It's incredible. And of course, yes, Ondo is a major leader behind this. Now, talking about that, we also know that policy is catching up. We have over here from Ondo, policy is catching up to technology. Yesterday, Ondo's head of global regulatory affairs, Peter Curley, joined leaders from Chainlink, Coinbase, and the European Commission at DC FinTech Week. The panel explored how identity, compliance, and infrastructure are core to the future of tokenized markets. The key takeaways: infrastructure needs, data integrity, cross-chain interoperability, privacy solutions, and compliance infrastructure are the critical areas for institutional adoption. Also, the regulatory shift: the Trump administration is urgently working to reshore crypto activity back to the US. The US versus EU competition: while MiCA gave Europe an early lead, the US companies are now refocusing stateside. Permissionless future: public permissionless blockchains' killer feature is inclusion. The consensus: permissionless blockchains will prevail, identity solutions are the next unlock, and the infrastructure for tokenized markets is being built now. And it's crazy to look at this image alone, right? When we're looking at this image, the big thing that I'm looking at is the names. You have Robinhood, Citi, all sitting next to Circle, Chainlink, Ondo. I mean, even Intuit as well. Like, guys, these are massive names around finance, around TradFi, around traditional, like, finance itself, right? Like, if we're thinking about the traditional world itself, it's now converging with this digital sort of island, if you will, because for the longest time, crypto felt like a digital island where, it was just a small percentage of people that were tied back to crypto. And now we're starting to see crypto expanding rapidly. Bridges are being built, and we're starting to see every single major player tapping into the crypto space. I love to see this. It's incredible to see. And again, it's all because of what's happening. Now, on top of policy and major shifts happening around regulations, Ondo did submit an open letter to the SEC recently in response to the Nasdaq's proposed rule changes regarding the trading of tokenized securities. Tokenization is shaping the next generation of financial infrastructure, and as a leader in real-world asset tokenization, we believe this proposal should not move forward until critical information is made public. New market rules must be built on clear public information available to all market participants to use when providing comments. Without more information about how the DTC, the Depository Trust Company, will handle tokenized settlement, neither regulators, market participants, nor investors can properly assess how this proposal would function. Tokenization is ushering in the next era of financial innovation and access, and should advance through open collaboration and transparent standards. In the meantime, we've asked the SEC to gather more information before making a final decision. With DTC's plans in the open, we look forward to working with NASDAQ and the entire tokenization industry to help usher in the next era of tokenized finance. Now, yes, this is a very significant one. And of course, here we have the open letter. We have the first major step here, right? Tokenization is ushering in the next era of financial innovation and access, and should advance through open collaboration and transparent standards. So yeah, listen, tokenization is ushering in the next era of financial innovation. We are starting to see this become a huge focus point. All of the big players, NASDAQ, big banks, you name it, all of them are on board. All we are waiting for is clear rules. Clarity for crypto will unlock the next massive shift into crypto, which will bring trillions of dollars, hundreds of millions of individuals as well. This is going to lead to mass adoption. And again, I really don't think people realize how big of a piece of the puzzle, clarity is. Now, on top of that, we also got another update from Ondo, which was regarding Franklin Templeton. So they had a highlight around their recent research, which highlighted the fact that the time has come for digital assets. Broader market access, rising institutional participation, increasingly favorable regulations. The report draws parallels to the early internet era and points to demographic and technological tailwinds driving the next wave of growth. A reminder that the next financial transformation won't just be digital, it will be on-chain. And yes, when we think about what's happening here, even with the internet, right? Crypto is outpacing the internet significantly. I've talked about this on multiple occasions as well. We have been looking into reports since going back as far as like roughly 2023 that have also been highlighting and predicting that, yes, the crypto market is quickly outpacing the internet market in its early phases. And we are also quickly booming to crazy amounts of users, value tied back to crypto as well compared to the internet. I mean, guys, we are moving much faster, and it's because of the efficiencies and what crypto has to offer. And of course, yes, it also does include the biggest names out there jumping on the crypto ship, like, for an example, BlackRock. We know this interview recently did get spotlighted from CNBC. I'm going to play it again because of what Ondo is saying here, but we have the world's largest asset manager sees tokenization as the next frontier. We are just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equity to bonds across the board. It's a vision of more open, efficient, and accessible markets already being realized through Ondo's tokenized US Treasury stocks and ETFs. The next era of finance isn't coming. It's already here. Check this out.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities, to bonds, across the board. There's $4.1 trillion of money sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. I do believe we're just.
And yeah, I mean, listen, when we think about what BlackRock really wants here, they are starting to usher in mass adoption of this tech. They want them to tap into these digital-based opportunities instead of the more traditional-based ones. And this is going to lead to mass adoption. This is going to lead to significant amounts of money moving on chain. And of course, these projects like Ondo that are at the forefront of this, that have been prepared for this moment, that have been planning around this moment as well for years, they are going to win big. And this is why I keep saying that, some of these projects, when we have a market sell-off, when the market is chopping, when, we're scared or concerned or worried, sometimes it's not a bad idea to look into some of these projects that are extremely undervalued. And I really do think that Ondo is one that is extremely undervalued, especially at a time where we are witnessing some of the biggest changes happening around our financial system, around the key things that these projects are fully embracing, fully focused on, and also building out key infrastructure. Of course, yes, Ondo is right there with global markets, which recently launched. Ondo is leading the way here, which is also why they have a massive amount of money tied back to them in the sense of $1.8 billion. And they also continue to innovate. They continue to acquire more companies to expand, like, for an example, Oasis Pro, which also accelerated US tokenized securities innovation. This acquisition allows Ondo to get access to a ton of things, like, for an example, digital asset broker dealer, ATS, and transfer agent licenses. Enables Ondo Finance to develop and provide tokenized securities markets in the US. This is because, of course, Oasis Pro, when we are looking at this, we could see a few things down here. For an example, Oasis Pro is a SEC registered and FINRA member broker dealer and alternative trading system, and an SEC registered transfer agent, providing compliant infrastructure to support issuing and trading tokenized securities in the US. So now we are starting to see Ondo force its way into US markets through this acquisition. And this is very exciting. And of course, this is the next chapter of tokenized finance. So an engine for the tokenization of RWAs, a digital asset transfer agent and capitalization management solution, a primary offering marketplace, a multi-asset secondary trading system for both public and private tokenized securities, utilizing digital currency or fiat, regulatory approval to conduct certain secondary market activities for a broad spectrum of assets, including traditional NMS securities, tokenized or traditional OTC equities, corporate debt, closed-end mutual funds, REITs, and structured products, as well as MBS, ABS, and privately placed securities. And then, of course, yes, those licenses to support capital market activities, including private placements, underwriting, and M&A advisory functions. So again, this is a strategic acquisition to allow for, Ondo to really expand. And just think, right? It's at a time where Ondo just announced global markets, $1.8 billion tied back to Ondo. tokenized securities or stocks already on Ondo are skyrocketing to $300+ million. Imagine where Ondo is headed now with this acquisition and with all of the big moves that they have been making. So I'm very excited about the future. This is also why I do think that if we see any of these major levels tapped going all the way back in time, you know, these lows are where I feel so confident buying more Ondo, because I really do think that the long-term future ahead is going to, you know, print a ton of ROI on Ondo, because I really do think that Ondo is extremely undervalued. I think that this is going to be a top, you know, 10, top 15 project that a lot of people look back on and say, wow, I had the opportunity to buy this thing under $1. I should have. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, to notifications on, because I'm more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.